no, you're good, you're good. I mean, it's more of a personal experience, but what would you say is the biggest life lesson you've learned from working in the industry?
I mean, I didn't really have to learn it, but it's one that I'd like others to learn, without naming any names. Just like, stay humble. Like, what we do on YouTube it's relatable for a reason. The reason you can build like a like-minded community is because YouTube is something everyone can do, and like putting yourself on the internet isn't particularly hard in most situations. So putting yourself on a pedestal is sort of ridiculous in a big way.
Especially with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, especially with this kind of stuff. And it's very easy, I understand, especially for people who aren't used to that, getting lost in like walking out onto a stage and seeing a sea of faces there to only see you and only support you. And I get that from a certain degree, but I really hope that people learn that lesson as they go through it, that's not going to get you any farther to act arrogant and act cocky and put yourself up there. You have to always remember that your community are real people, and they have sacrificed parts of themselves and their time to support you, and that's always an incredibly grounding thing. So
I think one of the biggest life lessons that I've sort of learned is from YouTube is that if you're really passionate about something and you work extremely hard at it, like no matter what your goals are, like they are achievable. And a lot of times it's a mixture of hard work and an insane amount of time and a lot of luck. But like these kind of things, because especially with YouTube, with how it's just like people sitting at home recording videos and like somehow their channels get a lot bigger and they can do it as a job, like anybody can do it, especially with the YouTube stuff. And so it's like, you know, making YouTube happen and being able to do YouTube full time was something that I wanted to do for such a long time, ever since I started. I was just like, I just want to do this one thing and not have to worry about anything else. And so it was sort of a goal to someday just be able to do this one thing. And so I worked really hard at it, and I just kept going, and I was like, no, I love this thing, and I'm not, no matter like what my teachers at my school told me before I graduated of like, this isn't a thing that you can do. I was like, well, I'm gonna try it, because what's the point if I don't try at all, and if
might
I
as
just,
well.
Yeah. If I just give up, then all of this work that I've been putting in is for nothing. And so I truly believe now, like, if you have goals and you're passionate about what you're doing and you're in it for the right reasons and you work really hard, then like you can get to the places that you want to be at.
Fair enough. What would you say is the weirdest experience you've had at either a convention or a public outing with other YouTubers?
With other YouTubers?
With other, or even by
YouTubers
yourselves?
or Twitch. It could be by yourself, it could be with other friends, it's just...
Yeah, this one wasn't with other YouTubers, but like last year I went out to an Olive Garden in my friend's town, and when we got into the lobby, there was a girl just staring at me like really intensely, and he was like, what's her problem? And I was like, I think that might be one of my fans, but she didn't say anything, so we like went to our table, sat down and ate. And later on when we got home, when I got home, I had like a message waiting for me that was like, hey, by any chance are you in the Olive Garden in this town? And I was like, yeah, that was me. And she's like, yeah, I thought so, I was just way too scared to say hi. And it was like one of those moments where it's just like, this is so weird to be like spotted in the wild, because I'm just a regular guy and I'd never want to seem intimidating or unapproachable. So anytime I have any of those moments, because that's not the only one, but when it happens, I'm always just like, oh gosh, I hope I'm not like putting on airs that I'm like, you know, mean or something.
The weirdest one for me was last year at VidCon. It was the only time that I've ever been a little bit scared and like a fan experience. Was I was leaving one of my panels and I had to go up an escalator, and so there was a pretty big crowd of people that had followed us out. It was basically the entire like panel. And so I was going up the escalator, and they had blocked off the escalator just so we could get up safely. And so it was me and like a bunch of security guards, and at the base of the escalator there was a couch, and so people started jumping off of the couch and over the escalator railing to get onto the escalator, and I was just like freaking out. It was really bad, and that was not cool. That was definitely the weirdest.
I didn't mean to snicker at that. I've done con security and I've seen that happen, and it's just you're just like, stop. That's what gives us a bad name. We want them to come back next year.
There's always a certain like intensity in any fan community. Like, I mean, like going back to the original question, even like the first time I ever came out like as like reserved seating at one of like Mark and your panels back in the day, like having people scream when I just walked in was so weird that I was just like, there's a lot of people yelling at me right now. Like,
it's definitely like a heavy reminder. Like whenever you go to a convention, because like when you sit at home all day and you're making videos and stuff, sometimes you forget that like there is a fair amount of people that watch us now, and it's really cool. But then when you're put in this environment where it's a lot of people that know you, and it's like, and then you go into that room and they're screaming, it's like, oh, this is weird. I forgot that people get excited about that stuff sometimes. It's loud.
It's a bit overwhelming at times, but like
it's really sweet.
It's I love the enthusiasm, but it definitely
comes from a good place.
They mean well.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Do you feel at Indy Pop Con this year that the fans have respected you guys and treated you well for the time crunch that's in the autograph section? Or
I haven't heard anything negative yet. There's always like one or two people who are like, man, I wish that lasted longer, and I do too. That's the whole thing. It's like we always talk about like that sucks that at the end like we had to rush it so that it was just like a quick hug, quick picture, done. Because we come to these things exclusively to talk to like our communities and like say hi to fans. So it does suck when we don't get that extra time.
Yeah, we do mean it when we're like, we wish that we could have a conversation with everybody. But we just can't, especially when like there's people behind us that are waiting to do their session, and so it sucks having to speed things up, but we don't want to like cut into other people's time as well, and so we try and get through everybody like as good as we can, because we don't want to make it too quick, but we can't make it too long, unfortunately. But everyone's been super respectful, and like yesterday especially, when we were like, hey, we have to start speeding it up and we're sorry, people are like, no, we get it. Like, you people also really can't stay here all day, like you guys got other stuff to do, and they were really respectful about it, because it does always suck like seeing people get disappointed when they can't like.
It does feel a little chiller this year, even like people have seemed to go with the flow a lot easier this year. So
not as many screamy people.
I did catch the no picking me up on stage thing you said yesterday.
I did.
We walked by and I'm like, no, pick him up. He's small. Now I have another interesting question, and I'm slightly curious on this. What are your thoughts on fans cosplaying you, or weirdest experience of a fan cosplaying you, if it's happened?
I always think it's really cool, like seeing what people come up with. It's really
surreal though.
The first time that I ever saw somebody tweeted me during Halloween that they were going to a Halloween party as me, and I was like, someone is dressing up as me for Halloween, but I'm me. It was so weird but so cool at the same time. And it's another like way that people show their appreciation for the channel too, which I think is really cool, because some people like make video edits, or they like make fan art or GIFs or whatever, and then some people cosplay, and that's so cool. And it's also really cool seeing people's like different interpretations of things, and people doing like the dark characters and stuff like that, but adding their own spin on it. It's super cool. I think it's awesome.
I love it, because it's like Ethan said, it's another way to sort of like donate your time to the community. Like, you might not be able to draw or like do an edit, but like people will be like, I want to represent like this community in some way, and they go out there and people will be like, oh, who are you, or what are you supposed to be, and then they can kind of spread that around as like, this is like a part of a community I'm really happy to be in, and I love that. Weirdest experience with cosplay? Not really weird. Last year someone did, I have a female alter ego named Girbeagly, and a girl dressed as that last year, which I actually thought was really cool. But like beforehand, she was like tweeting to me and asking me questions like, "Oh, what does Girbeagly do for this?" And I was just like, "Oh, this is so weird because it's like an ego, but it's not like me."
I haven't really had any weird ones that come to mind. I don't know.
Yeah, the first video you were in with all the shiny shirts, maybe.
Not really.
I mean, they're not weird,
though.
but it's like kind of interesting, like as a throwback.
Yeah, some people will like pick like very specific things, and that's like I'm surprised that you remember that, but that's cool that
was
thing
part
was
7 of this random series. Yeah.
A few last questions. Since YouTube is a lot in the technical aspect, and a lot of people don't really quite know what to start with.
That's for us. Yay!
Yay! Cheering in the background. What recording software would you say works best for what you aim for?
I mean, it's
really up to preference.
Yeah, it is up to preference. I would always recommend going the cheapest route, and especially with like gaming stuff. OBS is a really great program. I use OBS.
Yeah, me too.
And it's free. And it
really
takes
user friendly.
There's a little bit of a learning curve just because you can like really dive deep into the settings and stuff. And so, but that takes like one Google search of being like, okay, what are the best settings for this and this? But I mean, I think in the beginning especially, like using what you have and what you have access to is really important. Because I always get people being like, oh, what camera do you have? Or what mic do you have? And I'm like, well, I've been doing this for a really long time and it's my job now, so like I've been able to be fortunate enough to like invest in my own channel. So like what I am using, you probably shouldn't use because like one, it may not work for what you're doing, but also like I started out with my like crappy home video camera pointed at the TV, and so I think start out with what you have, and then as you go on with it, like then build up upon that.
Yeah, and we were even talking about earlier, like to touch on like you don't need the best equipment right off the bat, because you know, something that works for Ethan's voice, like a certain microphone or certain programs, will not work for my voice, things like that. But also B, because a big part of being on YouTube isn't the quality of the equipment. That's a fun noise. It's a lot of it is how comfortable you are on camera and how you project yourself and how you present yourself. And as you become more comfortable with who you are and how you speak and et cetera, that almost overcomes a lot of technical difficulties. Because like even for me, up until last year, I was using a headset mic for a lot of my Let's Plays, and I got a majority of my channel during that time. So the equipment is a lot less limiting than I think people like think it is. I mean, I started YouTube with using my iPhone 4 as my face cam.
I think like more on the technical side, there's a lot of things that people forget about that I think is really important to learn about, and a lot of stuff that I didn't learn until like really late in the game. And so like one of those big things is like audio editing and like color correction and stuff like that, because with just like raw stuff, there's so much that you can tweak to make it sound so much better or make the image look a lot better. And so like I just said, I didn't learn about a lot of that stuff until late in the game. But like now, if I had a video and I didn't edit the audio at all, I'd be like, well, I can't post that video because the audio isn't edited. And so looking up that stuff, and just like even if you're not looking it up, just like playing around with different softwares and like trying to teach yourself how to make the audio better and stuff like that is really, really helpful.
There's not really a master course for learning this stuff. That's the fun part about YouTube for me, is like it's self-teaching and finding out what's going to work best for you.
Well, I think that's all we have for you guys today. I want to say thank you for taking the time this weekend. Thank you for coming all the way out here. We know you guys have a very busy schedule. We appreciate it. We enjoyed everything. Guys, check out Girbeagly's channel. Check out Ethan's channel. Descriptions will be down below. And maybe a little bit of the edit in the front of the other clip we had. So thank you guys. We'll see you next time.
Thank you so much.